Molly Rutter is a date talk influencer who has grown rapidly in size over the last few months. She's recently been put under scrutiny, however, for the questionable dating etiquette that she displays, such as habitual catfishing and a recently problematic commodification of DV. Now, shockingly, I've actually had sex before, so I don't know what being a date talk influencer entails, and if you're on that same boat, then I'll play the average Molly Rutter TikTok so we know what beast we're dealing with here. But before that, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. The support you guys have been showing recently has, as always, to be fair, been insane. The Smart Schoolboy 9 video did particularly well. And you know what? Bang! Here's some fan art. Bang! Here are some nice comments. I see it all, baby, and it's always appreciated. Now, let's get into this video.
So, I had a date plan tonight. It was with this really handsome guy from Hinge. Notice I'm using the past tense. And that's because we had plans to go to a cafe. I asked him what time he was thinking. This was the conversation yesterday. And he said, around 8. But I'll have a better idea tomorrow. I'll text you. And I was like, okay. It's 6:30 p.m. Didn't text me. So obviously, we're not meeting.
So that's her entire career pretty much summed up in, like, 30 seconds. She goes on dates and she gets ghosted pretty much every time. In this case, she didn't even get to go on the date. But yeah, getting ghosted is like her gimmick, I guess. It's a weird thing to base your entire brand off of, but you do you, friend. Now, rather than do, like, a deep dive into these videos in particular and be all critical of what is essentially dating content, I think it would be a good idea to establish the more sort of heinous side of Molly first, like her blatant disregard for others and their emotions. Because if all she did, if her only crime was getting ghosted, I don't think she'd deserve nearly as much shtick as she was getting. Some of you might already be aware of this, but Molly Rutter had recently faked that she had been assaulted by a man on a date with him, and it was all just a made-up story for TikTok clout. So, let's talk about that first, because it's probably a lot worse than you're even thinking.
It's no secret that I've not been in the best headspace when it comes to men lately, so hopefully this guy redeems men for me. He's definitely not my usual type. He's got a bit of a grungier, gothic style, actually. I'm in the mood for someone a little bit out of my comfort zone.
By the way, guys, when she says that this guy's a bit older, you should probably bear in mind that Molly is 33 years old and typically goes for blokes within 20 to 25 age range. More on that later, though. We'll stick to the topic, but don't worry, more on that later. For now, though, this is the first part of the fake assault video. She's doing a standard get ready with me like she does for a lot of her dates. This is like very typical Molly Rutter TikTok. She is describing the made-up assaulter as a grungy gothic guy who is not usually her type, probably because of his age, but whatever. Well, that's not relevant for this part of the video. We'll move on to the next one. So here's the second part, and as you can see, the caption is get ready with me to go on the scariest date of my life, and then like a wee woo siren emoji. I mean, the sense of foreboding here is so subtle, it's very impressive.
I know most of my followers, I don't need to remind you of this. Look, I'm completely aware that this is my job now. I'm completely aware also that my dating content is the stuff that goes most viral. But the thing is, I'm dating for genuine reasons, okay? I don't go on dates constantly. So yeah, basically, I go on dates when I go on dates.
Okay, enough of that waffle. This video is 4 minutes of her just doing her makeup and getting ready, which, if you're into that, you're into that, but let's skip to the meaty bit here.
I feel like Beyonce, standing in front of my air conditioner waiting for my Uber. It's the scariest day of my life.
And that is how the TikTok ends. It's her with police sirens in the background, a black eye, and a busted lip talking about how scared she is and how awful the date was. Now, obviously, there's nothing there that implicitly states that she was assaulted, but I mean, it's heavily fucking implied, isn't it? Like, that's what everyone's thinking. And for those who are gonna try and justify this and say, yeah, I couldn't really see much, she doubles down on a comment saying, black eye and busted lip to be exact, when people are asking her about her injuries. Molly Rutter would then go on to tease the explanation of said date for the next couple of days, leaving her audience in suspense, basically. So Molly Rutter's audience is sat there, patiently waiting, worried about her safety, like, oh my god, I can't believe this awful fucking thing happened. I hope justice is served. I hope she's okay. I wonder what happened. Because it looks pretty fucking bad. The police have been called and her face is busted. I don't think most normal, gentle picnic dates end like that, do they? But anyway, let's move on to Molly's grand reveal.
Here's the highly anticipated recap of my date from hell. Literally, the scariest date I have ever gone on in my life. So this man surprised me with a private tour of Fright World, which is one of the biggest haunted houses in the country, actually.
Molly, you silly wee sausage, you cannot be doing something like this, it's grim.
Friend, he took me to get my makeup done by their makeup artist, and I got to match him with the zombie attire, so we were a cute little undead couple. Sorry to scare you.
Because the thing is, if it was just the makeup without any of the teasing or build-up or advertisement, like it's this big cool reveal, I don't think I'd have a problem with it, like at all. It's just, you know, a Halloween costume. I mean, a bruise and a battered lip barely counts as a costume, but you know what I mean, it wouldn't be as bad. The fact that you marketed it this way, as though you've been assaulted or something horrible's happened to you, though, will definitely rally a lot of your audience who have gone through something similar. A lot of victims of assault or abuse that, you know, may relate to you and be worried for you. You have rallied a certain part of your audience that have gone through something as horrible as what you are implying yourself to have gone through. And that group of people will no doubt, rightfully so by the way, feel rather betrayed and annoyed when it turns out you were just commodifying their trauma for TikTok clout. It's like, imagine if I opened one of these videos up by going, oh, by the way guys, I'm homosexual and I was just shouted homophobic abuse at the other day. God, it feels so horrible, doesn't it? I'll tell you the story later though. I know that there are a lot of queer people who will watch that and feel sympathy for me because they've gone through something similar. Or maybe they'll feel grateful that somebody that they watch is sharing their story of abuse that they can relate to because, you know, it makes it a lot less embarrassing, I guess. Not that there's anything to be embarrassed about, obviously, but talking about stuff like that is always, you know, a brave thing to do. Now imagine if next week I come back and I'm like, guys, remember that story I teased last week about, you know, me being spouted homophobic abuse at? Well, I was just kidding. I'm completely straight. Go fuck yourselves. I don't imagine that a lot of my audience would be very happy with me. You wouldn't be very happy with me, would you? In fact, leave a comment on this video as though I actually had done something like that, and then people who haven't watched yet but are reading the comments will be like, oh my god, what a fucking arsehole. I can't believe he'd do something like that. Hopefully, though, they'll get to this part and they're like, oh, thank fuck. Maybe don't do that, actually. I'll lose a lot of viewers. You know what? Your choice. Get creative with it, though, guys. I don't want to see any lazy responses here.
And then, even worse, at the very end of the night while I was waiting for my Uber, this man came up to me and he makes a comment towards me about something that is literally involving violence, okay? And the guy next to me starts laughing about it. He's laughing about it. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss the punchline here? Did I miss the joke? Like, what was funny about what this man just said? And so what ended up happening is, as I'm walking to my Uber, I'm legit yelling at these men. I'm yelling at them, and I'm like, this is what I hate about this country. You are what I hate about this country.
Oh, fair enough, Molly. I get your mentality now. It all makes sense. It's perfectly fine for you to fake being assaulted on a date and then use it as build-up, insulting your entire audience, potentially who have been through that sort of thing. However, if a man who's around you so much as makes a joke involving violence, then that is an unforgivable sin that should damn them to 1 million years in the gates of the helliest hell you've ever seen in your goddamn life, baby. Anyways, next we're gonna look at her response to this whole situation. And let's be fair here, right? Because content creators are allowed to make mistakes. We're not perfect beings. We are human. And humans fuck up a lot, especially when, you know, all of their actions are this public. When you make videos daily, sometimes multiple videos every day, yeah, every now and then you're gonna say something that people don't like very much, or, you know, a misguided action of some sort. It's impossible to have a career on the internet and not fuck up once or twice. Like, I genuinely believe it would be unrealistic to hold someone to that high of a standard. And when somebody does make a mistake, like this was clearly a mistake, I think the response says a lot about that person. Because a good response to a situation like this one is absolutely forgivable, and, you know, a good opportunity to bounce back and let your audience know how genuinely apologetic you are for potentially commodifying their trauma, as well as just being, you know, slightly distasteful.
Everyone, I want to get on here and address the recent videos I posted and have since taken down. For some context, I went to a haunted house to film content and dress up with a makeup look that was spooky, Halloween inspired to match the theme of this zombie date experience. That said, I've read your comments and I understand that there were people who felt that my makeup look, which included a black eye and a busted lip, was highlighting domestic violence and physical abuse, which was absolutely not my intention at all.
Okay, so the two options here are either that she is purposefully deflecting from the situation and she knows what the issue that people have is and just doesn't want to address it, or she is genuinely just a bit silly and doesn't understand why people are angry at her, because the makeup here is not the problem. It's the framing of the situation. It's the backstory of, ooh, I'm going on a date with a creepy gothic older guy and then the police came and I was battered and bruised and I can't release, you know, a story about the date just yet because I need time to look after myself and make sure I'm in a good mental headspace. That's what people have a problem with. You left your audience waiting for days just to make a shit joke. The makeup in and of itself is not the issue at all. And I don't know if you know that or not, Molly, but either which way, the response comes off as such a cop-out.
I always act under the premise that even people with good intentions, their actions and their behaviors and their words can have unintended negative consequences on others.
Yeah, that's very true, and I'm in full agreement with that, to be fair, but what exactly were your intentions here? Because from what it seems, your intentions were to frame a genuine narrative that you were assaulted on a date. Like, those were your intentions. You were telling people about it in the comments. Like, oh yeah, no big deal, I just have a busted lip, Did you think that when you made this fucking Darth Vader level reveal, your audience would let out a hearty belly laugh? Oh, classic Molly, commodifying domestic violence and assault on dates. I love that shit. Were those your intentions, Molly? I'm not saying that they aren't, but I am saying that if those were your intentions, then you are incredibly misguided.
I do not feel it would be right to profit off of content that highlights something as serious as domestic violence and physical abuse. And so that is why I have removed those videos.
Bullshit. The reason you're removing the videos is because you don't want videos that hurt your brand or your financial situation on your channel. Don't frame it as though you're some morally virtuous saint who just wants to delete the videos because you can't bear the thought of profiting off of a situation that made people a bit sad. Do you think anybody's actually that much of a numpty that they're actually going to fall for this, you dunce?
I absolutely love Halloween. It's a big part of who I am. Everything from dressing up to going to haunted houses. I'm just a huge lover of anything Halloween and fall, which is why I even went forward to make this content in the first place.
Ow! Fuck. I was gonna say it's irrelevant, but I accidentally slapped myself in the fucking balls. For those who hate me, for those who really don't like me, now you have a moment of me in genuine pain. My arms they were too loosey-goosey there. I need to make them a bit stiffer next time. But yeah, I don't know what she's waffling on about here. The bottom line is you can't just delete the videos and expect everyone to forget about them. You coward. Address it properly. You know the issue. If you've read enough comments to know that this is an issue in the first place, then you've read enough comments to know what people actually have a problem with. But anyway, like all great responses, there is a response to the response because people didn't like the first response very much for the reasons that we've just covered. So it's time for my response to her response.
I want to come on here and provide a follow-up or an extension of my previous video because it has become very obvious to me that the core reason that many of you were upset was not properly addressed in that video. And so I do think that I owe you a more in-depth and heartfelt apology than what was portrayed in that video. I understand that my haunted house date content, with the way the makeup was done, the set was all done up, the way I framed it, the way the caption was written, I understand that all of that created this picture that I was a victim of physical violence on my date. And I take full accountability for the way that that was portrayed and the way that that misled well-intentioned people to be scared for my well-being and concerned for me.
Okay, to be fair, this one's a lot better. It's a pretty good apology so far. I will say, though, the video's 5 minutes long. I don't know what she's gonna yap on about for the next 4 minutes, but I guess we'll see. The fact that there is that much time left in the video honestly worries me a little bit, because I feel like all there's space for is excuses. You've said what you need to say. You can wrap it up in about 30 seconds now. But maybe I'm being judgmental. Let's have a watch.
That was not my intention at all, as I mentioned in the previous video, but I know that impact matters more than intent in situations like this, when you've hurt people, when you've triggered them, when you've upset them. And it's no secret, I've always really prided myself on having a platform that is positive, where people can relate to one another and grow and learn and have fun. And I recognize that this whole saga of what's happened is completely against everything that I want to stand for as a person and as a person online. And so, sorry, excuse me. And so my community on here means so much to me. And so I really hope that... Hi everyone. I want to make another video as an extension or a follow-up.
Oh my fucking god. You guys, oh my god. This is not what I was expecting at all. This is the furthest thing away from what I was expecting. I thought that the rest of the video was just going to be excuses. But no, she's doing another take. She just left the first take in accidentally. I mean, that doesn't necessarily make her a bad person or evil. It's just fucking funny. Like, I haven't seen anybody do that in an apology video, I think, ever. To leave 2 takes of something in on a video like this is genuinely one of the dumbest things To leave 2 takes in on a video like this is genuinely one of the dumbest things ever.
I am sincerely sorry.
Okay, so I've just sat through the final take that she was finally happy with, and yeah, it's fine. Like, nothing wrong with it, really. Good wee bit of damage control to a shitty situation. Who knows how genuine it is. So yeah, now that we've established Molly isn't exactly the most caring of people, I think we can dive into some of her other controversies with the added context that all of yous needed if you didn't already know her. So the next big controversy that Molly was under scrutiny for was her allegedly catfishing people, which, as a dating influencer, I'm sure you can understand is quite a big accusation. Somebody found her on Hinge, I guess they live in a similar area, and they thought it would be appropriate to post her Hinge account on Reddit. Whether or not you think doing that is justified, I'll leave up to you. I personally would not have done it because I have fucking better things to do with my life. So the person who posted it probably isn't the nicest person ever, but I understand that some people may see it as like not the worst thing in the world because she is a dating influencer. And so if she lacks the basic dating etiquette of not showing actual pictures of herself, then yeah, perhaps that does deserve a bit of scrutiny. So here's the first picture you'd find if you were scrolling on Hinge and came across Molly. I mean, it's a pretty standard, normal, decent Hinge profile. There's not too much to be mad about. If you found this account on Hinge, it wouldn't exactly perk your ears up or itch your nose too much. It's just it's just an account. It's perfectly normal. Nothing wrong with it. Now, the issue here is that the pictures Molly is using for her Hinge account are pictures that are from like 4 or 5 years ago when she did look a lot different to her current self. So just for reference, this is a picture of Molly now, and then a picture of Molly on her Hinge. Now look, as much as I personally believe that it is a bit weird we have her Hinge profile at all, like, why do I, someone who lives in Scotland, have the Hinge profile of Molly Rutter, who... somewhere in the fucking States, I'm guessing. Like, those two things should not be correlating. I should not be able to see this. So, as much as I might feel bad for her that it leaked, now that we do have it, I must say I can definitely see why she gets ghosted as much as she does. And that's nothing to do with her physical appearance, by the way. Rather, it's the immediacy of her dishonesty. You have lied to me about what you look like. You have lied to me before we've even had our first conversation. And what's every good relationship built upon? I'll count down from 3. We'll say it together. 3, 2, 1. Trust. Now that was either an epic 4D cinematic experience that went really well, or me and you have different views on relationships. There's also the secret third option that I'm now on a JOI countdown video somewhere. If you don't understand what I meant by that, then that's fine, it's probably for the best. But even above how different she looks physically in these pictures, it's also about the amount of effort that she's putting into her outfits. Like, say what you want about Molly, but you can definitely tell a lot of effort, a lot of thought was put behind how she looks in the pictures that she puts up on her Hinge profile. However, on the TikToks where she goes out on dates to get ready with me, every outfit that she shows herself in is comfortable, but there wasn't any effort put into it. She seems to have the mentality of like, I'm going in whatever I'm comfortable in, and if you don't like that, then on to the next sort of thing.
Casual and comfy, which I think is the vibe for this date.
But I don't know if it's just me, because it's fine to have that attitude. Like, you can do what you want. It's a free country, it's your body. Do whatever the fuck you want. That's fine. But me personally, when I go on a date, I don't want to wear gym shorts and an oversized t-shirt. I want to put a little bit of effort in to, look good. And it's perfectly reasonable that if I were to go into a date without putting any effort into how I look, I would completely understand if the person I was dating or the person I was on that date with didn't appreciate that very much, or, took that as a sign that it's not really going to work out because we have different viewpoints on how dating should work. Now, admittedly, if we both turn up in the same low-effort outfit, then it could be a really epic bonding moment, but it's not fucking Disney. That's probably not going to happen. Yes, you should absolutely absolutely be your authentic self whilst you're dating. But when you lie about what you look like, I wouldn't exactly call that being your authentic self. I mean, I'm just imagining what I would do if I was one of the blokes that she was dating. Why would I feel the need to ghost Molly Rutter? And to be fair, I have been in a similar situation to this before. Like, I kind of know what it's like to be on the receiving end of this Hinge profile. I went on a date with a girl once who, to put it lightly, looked very different from the pictures on her profile. So what did I do? Did I tell her to fuck off? Did I tell her she was a dirty catfish that made me sick and to never show her face in front of me again? No, I just carried on the date as usual, a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit unnerved that she would lie to my fucking face like that. But other than that, the date was normal. I paid for the dinner, the date was like a couple hours long, and then I went home and had no interest in ever seeing her again. And I knew that I would never see her again from the second that I saw her in person.
I can't believe I got catfished. I feel like bad for those people who catfish like that. Like, how do you live with yourself, truly? How do you live with that? I would just feel so guilty if I did something like that.
She's not exactly the most consistent, this woman, is she? She seems to contradict herself a lot. A little bit of hypocrisy there, Molly. Molly got a comment about this whole situation saying, "This is a good thing. You need to make new profiles with recent pics. I'm a big girl too, and those photos are old and give the wrong idea. I used old photos and never got a second date after the first." To which Molly replies, "I never asked for anyone's opinion," which whoever took the screenshot pettily downvoted. In a way, I kind of agree with her. Like, I definitely see where she's coming from, but it is different when you're a dating influencer. Like, I'm sure we can all agree that an unsolicited comment about somebody's body, especially a negative one, but even positive ones sometimes, it can justifiably be seen as a shitty thing to do. I certainly try my best to refrain from such comments, like, it's just fucking unwarranted. And I'm sure we can all agree on that. However, if the content being put on display here is fitness content, for example, and there is an influencer who is stood there lifting weights talking about how he knows the secret to get ripped as fuck in 6 months and is trying to give you advice, and that person is visibly morbidly obese, yeah, you have a lot more reason to raise your eyebrow a little bit. There's a lot more justification towards commenting on something like that, as opposed to if they make a type of content that does not deserve that kind of response. If Molly was a cooking channel, for example, no one would care about the dating profile, or no one sane would care about the dating profile. Nobody with a good heart would care. In fact, I would personally think, who the fuck are you to leak someone's dating profile like that? Mind your own fucking business. But when your whole brand is predicated upon the dates you go on and being a seasoned dater, the morals are a little bit more blurry, for sure. I'd have to really think on it to give a definitive opinion, but all I'll say now is the morals are definitely a bit more blurry. I'm not sure if you guys will agree, but if you don't, then feel free to tell me in the comments. I'm completely open to that conversation. Anyways, Molly did make a response to the whole thing, so maybe let's watch that and my mind will be made up a little bit more.
Can I be honest and vulnerable with you about something? Because that's what I like to do on here. I've been thinking about how much I would love to get on the dating apps and match with people and schedule dates, but I no longer feel safe doing so. And that's because of the faceless, nameless people on Reddit. The people who screenshotted my dating profile and felt that it was a good use of their time to compare my appearance in photos to my appearance in TikTok videos and accused me of being a catfish. Because of you, I no longer feel safe on the dating apps. And I know what some of the haters are going to be thinking. They're going to be thinking, yeah, but technically a dating profile is public. And you have a public TikTok account where you talk about dating. Yeah, I do. But this is an issue of consent. Because me making this video and posting it on a public platform on TikTok, that's me giving consent.
Yeah, to be fair, like, she is definitely right in spots here. The people who leaked her dating profile are fucking freaks. Like, that is a freaky thing to do. Do something better with your life. If you come across an influencer's dating profile, or if I did, for example, I'd probably think, oh shit. Moving on. I wouldn't go on fucking Reddit. Oh my god, guys! I've just seen so-and-so's dating profile. Isn't this crazy? Let's psychoanalyze it and backtrace to 5 years ago and then zoom in and enhance and look at the facial recognition services to see how much of a catfish they are. That is a little bit weird. And I understand that they are a dating content creator. I get it. And that makes it a little bit less weird as opposed to them just being, you know, a cooking creator, for example. But it is still weird. I don't want this whole video to be me blindly having a dig at Molly Rutter. Like, that is fucking weird. I definitely understand why it makes her uncomfortable, and I do feel bad that she doesn't feel comfortable on dating apps anymore, because she should feel comfortable on dating apps. I guess another one of the issues here, though, is that whenever she talks about going on dates with people, these real men that do exist that she is dating, a lot of the time she never takes responsibility for being ghosted. It's always their fault. I was ghosted because I said this. I was ghosted because he took this the wrong way. But now that we've seen the photos, as much as we probably shouldn't have access to them, now that we have seen them, it's difficult to ignore them. And to leave out the fact that you look very different to those photos now is disingenuous, because it very well could be one of the contributing factors at the very least to why you are ghosted so often. So you are, by the very nature of your content, misleading your audience based on that fact. It's a very morally grey, techie area here. Like, I really don't know what to feel about it. As much as I feel bad for her, she definitely isn't a saint either. It's like the whole sympathy for the devil sort of thing. Not that she's a devil, by the way. I definitely would not go that far. She's just a fucking influencer who makes shit TikTok videos and doesn't really think about people's feelings too much. Just comes across as a bit entitled, really. Not a devil by any means. Sympathy for a random woman on TikTok who doesn't exactly come across as very likable. That's a lot more of an accurate description of what I'm feeling here.
Me making this video and posting it on a public platform on TikTok, that's me giving consent to receiving comments, right? Now that doesn't even necessarily mean I want comments criticizing my appearance, right? But at least you can argue that I have my comments turned on, and that then opens up to commentary, right? But in no way, shape, or form did I ever consent to my dating profile to be viewed by thousands of people and picked apart and ridiculed. I didn't consent to that.
I understand that mentality very much, actually, and once again, I have sympathy for it, and I'm actually surprised by how gracefully she accepted that she is getting comments about her body on, the TikToks that she posts on a regular basis, because she shouldn't be that calm about it. That is absolutely an arsehole thing to fucking do. To everyone who does make unsolicited comments about Molly's body on her TikToks for no apparent reason, leave the channel. I don't want you here. It's not a nice thing to do. Who raised you? I probably shouldn't ask that, to be fair, because the answer, no one raised me, I wasn't raised very well, is, a legitimate answer to that question. So maybe I take that back, but don't make comments about people's physical appearances. It's like rule 101 of being a decent human being.
I don't want opinions about it. I don't want to hear commentary about my dating profile. The only people I want to view my profile, the only people I'm consenting to view my profile, are those who are on the dating apps, swiping right and left, having conversations and trying to make dates happen. That's what I've consented to. And so here I am now, feeling super anxious, because I no longer feel safe on the dating apps, and I don't know if I will ever feel safe on them again. One of the most efficient tools for modern dating has been taken away from me. That's what it feels like. And I wish I could say that I had the courage and the confidence to get back on them and not care about the Reddit haters. I can ignore the Reddit haters for a lot of things, but this one hit different. This one made me feel extremely violated, and I don't know if I will ever feel differently about it. Maybe I will over time. But as of right now, I don't. And it is very sad. And it makes me very angry. I'm really angry about it.
In all honesty, I appreciate her honesty, and I appreciate how vulnerable she's being here, because she didn't need to do this, and she probably shouldn't have, to be fair. If you know the internet, you know that being this vulnerable will just lead to more fucking shit. The best case scenario, unironically, would have just been to ignore it. You can't let people know that they're getting to you like this. But then again, man, she's new to being a full-time influencer. We'll get onto that later, but she is very new to this, so I'm not blaming her necessarily for this.
I think so highly of myself that so many other things cross my mind when I think about how I'm presenting myself to the dating world. Like in those photos where I have less body fat, I'm thinking, oh my God, I look so cute. I love my outfit. I look like I'm having so much fun, and I'm there with my dogs. I want to represent that on my dating profile. And I'll be damned if I ever go on a date with someone who sees a few photos where I'm thinner and then sees me in person and thinks, oh my God, she's a catfish. I never want to date her again. Oh my God, if I ever encounter someone like that, please, I hope they run for the hills. And who knows, maybe I already have encountered people like that.
Yeah, in all probability, you have encountered people like that, and I don't think it's nice to judge them for it. Like, it is a perfectly, in my opinion, reasonable response to have to being lied to before you even had your first conversation. It's the exact same thing as if someone was to lie about their height on a dating app. If you were on a date with me and you expected to see a 6'4" hunk of a beast man, and then all 5'10" of me rocks up with the confidence of a much taller man, you'd probably feel a little bit scammed, wouldn't you? And you may very well think, why would this bloke lie about his height like that? Clearly there's some insecurity there. I don't appreciate the barefaced cheek of someone to lie to me like that when it's such an obvious lie as well. Yeah, I'll do the date, but I've not really got any interest in seeing them again because of this. It sort of soured my opinion of them. Yeah, that's a fine mentality to have, and it's not one to be judged. Like, I would not call someone an arsehole for thinking that way. If anything, it's probably the normal way to think. Getting in a relationship with someone who is a confirmed liar might just be the dumbest move you could possibly do.
Bodies fluctuate, appearances change. What matters is how you are on the inside.
And if on the inside you're a liar, then you're not exactly the most desirable human being after all. Even if it is lying by omission. Anyway, as I'm sure you could probably tell by, the last couple of minutes, I have a lot of sympathy for her and a lot of criticisms for her. This is quite a grey area morally. However, as we already know, Molly has something of a habit of contradicting herself a lot and being a bit of a hypocrite, so let's see if that still stands for this video here.
The people who screenshotted my dating profile.
I just went to his Hinge profile because my plan was to screenshot it because I wanted to put this guy on blast.
Oh no, Molly, I felt sorry for you. I did. I felt sorry for you in that video. But fuck, man, it's like you're not even trying. It's like you're just handing me content on a silver platter. Here you go, Dankyjabo, make a video on me. Because it's so easy to dissect this shit and call you out for being the hypocrite you are. I mean, fair enough if you say a couple contradicting statements in your whole career. You make videos so often, I've probably contradicted myself every now and then. It's fine, right? Humans do it. But to do it this consistently, every time you defend yourself or talk about something you have a problem with, every single time you have done the thing that you're criticizing yourself. And when it's that much of a pattern, then there's a lot more to be criticized for.
These pictures that you see here were not here this morning.
But this is an issue of consent. Come do my tree, sir. Come do my tree.
So there's a video of Molly recording some random poor man just on a tree. I don't think he consented to having that done, did he? Apologies for the weird fucking edit or the weird music in the background, by the way. I'm not a fan of it, but I didn't make this video, obviously. I don't spend my days making contradictory videos on Molly. But yeah, she's a hypocrite, point blank period. And it's very, very distasteful to criticize others for stuff that you do yourself and post publicly about you doing. It's not like you're even doing it in private. You are proudly proclaiming you doing the things that you have a problem with other people doing, and that's scummy, for sure. So as much as I can agree with you that it's really weird for people to do those things to you, you need to hold that same logic to yourself. It's really weird and scummy and abhorrent for you to do those things to other people. If we can agree on that, then there's common ground. Fair enough. If you can call yourself a scumbag for doing what you deem others to be a scumbag for, then that's fine. You're being consistent. But you cannot claim to be anything that you do not consider people who leaked your profile to be. And that's even more true when you read this question that a commenter asked her. If they were comparing your dating profile to TikTok in a way you deem positive, would you have still made this video? Which I think is a perfectly fair and actually rather poignant question. They'd make a good YouTuber. Anyway, Molly replies with a simple no, which, and I'm sure she didn't consider this to be fair, but that totally connotes that this isn't an issue of consent at all. It's about the comments she was receiving. So as much as she says that the issue with this is that she did not consent to people commenting on her bodies, she doesn't really give a fuck about consent. It's about the criticism that she's receiving. Now don't get me wrong, I still have a smidge of sympathy for her. I just don't think she thought that reply out fully. However, I have a suspicion that even if she did come to notice the contradiction she's making, she probably would still have a big problem with the profile being shared. She just doesn't want people talking about her body in a negative way, and I mean, fuck, how can you not understand that? As much as you may think that she's being a hypocrite or that she deserves the criticism, which I do to an extent, but at the very least, you can understand why she would be comfortable with people making comments about her body. And there is a way to do it tactfully, right? If you're going to comment on somebody's body, even in a situation like this where the content that they make sort of implies that criticism is a little bit more justified, you don't do it like a fucking arsehole. You say, hey man, I think that it's a bit disingenuous that you talk about you being ghosted for these reasons when it is most likely for these reasons which you refuse to acknowledge, right? That is a lot more tactful of a response as opposed to just outright calling somebody ugly or disgusting, like you're just being an arsehole. You're probably jumping for joy because you finally found an excuse to body shame a woman without getting backlash for it. And that does make you a bit of a twat, so fuck you. Anyway, part of the reason I think that she's finding herself in so much controversy, especially recently, is because she has only recently become a full-time influencer. I think it's only been like a couple months now. In fact, when she hit 100,000 TikTok followers, she quit her job as a teacher. Or, well, she says she quit. A lot of people are speculating that the school was getting reports or whatever and she was fired or let go or forced to resign.
I don't know what the real problem is. Do I know the real problem? Let's get into it. What's the real problem? I don't make enough money. That's the problem. I can sum up everything back to that. I don't make enough money as a teacher.
Now, if the latter is true, then yeah, that's really fucking awful, and you guys are twats for allowing that to happen. You don't fucking interfere with her personal life like that. However, if the former is true, and she is telling the truth about deciding to quit, then Molly, I don't know how to say this nice, but you're a fucking idiot. This is something that I feel a lot of people do. They quit their day job in an attempt to make their dream come true, their dream of being an influencer come true. I've talked about this before, but that is such a dreamy and unrealistic idea that has been perpetuated and popularized by a lot of influencers who encourage that sort of thing. Don't do it. You need to be responsible. I know it's a lot less glamorous to be responsible, but it's just a lot more responsible to be responsible. Have a hobby. Have a dream. That shit's great. I think dreams are what keep the world moving. It makes fucking life worth living. But don't quit your day job until your dream is making enough money consistently to become your full-time job. 100,000 TikTok followers is not a stable enough income to quit your job for. Especially when you're a date talk influencer, because not only are you affecting your financial situation now, but you're actually affecting your love life and dating situation as well. Now that your only source of income is talking about dates, you have less incentive to actually get into a romantic relationship because you won't be going on any more first dates anymore. You are now being financially incentivized to go on bad dates so you have a story to tell. And that financial incentive has already dragged you into a lot of controversy and already, I guess, convinced you to make distasteful remarks and commodifications about people who are going through violence or assault during their dates. Maybe if you had a stable income away from TikTok, you wouldn't have been pushed to make that mistake. And on that note, I've just clocked we're talking about a date talker here, and we haven't even spoken about any of the dates. So let's talk about them. So as I mentioned earlier, most of the people that Molly goes on dates with are between the ages of 21 and 25. It might be presumptuous to say that she has a type. It might be presumptuous to say that those types of people are her type, but it is the pattern that she is showing. In fact, for some reason, sometimes people try to barter in her comment section, like, oh, I know somebody who you'd love to go on a date with, and she actually responds to them. Imagine that being how your parents met, by the way. My oldest son is off work on Sundays. I know he's only 24, but you might like him. Look at me trying to get Molly, my former student, to go on a date with my son. To which she responds with, I'm totally down. Now, is it worthy of criticism that a 33-year-old girl is going on dates with 24-year-old men? No, not all, actually. That's perfectly fine. Because if you swap the genders around, 33 years old for a man and 24 years old for a woman is societally and universally accepted as a perfectly fine age gap. By the majority of people, that is, obviously. I'm sure some people are opposed to it. And I don't think that people should be held to different standards for that type of thing. It's like, you do you. Everyone perceives love differently, and that's perfectly fine. You're both two consenting adults. Decent way into adulthood, it's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. However, when you consistently or only go for people that age, it does raise a little bit more concern. And before you have a go at me, I think it's the same for men who go with younger women as well, even if it is, you know, not that young, 24-year-old girl, 33-year-old man. I think if you only go for girls of that age, there is a bit of concern to be had, and the reason for that is you've already lived your life, you know? You have had the chance to live your life, and now you're thinking, oh, I want to settle down and have like a kid now, so let me pick a girl who is young enough to have not lived the life that I have had, and tie them down to a lifelong responsibility of a child before they have had the privilege to live the life that I have. I don't know if that makes sense or if you'll understand what I'm trying to say here, but it is an opinion that I have. And that doesn't make you a scumbag by any means. Like, maybe you're okay with it. Maybe they're okay with it. It's perfectly fine as long as the two people are on the same page there. But, you know, it's something that I thought I'd bring up nonetheless.
So this guy, we had honestly an amazing date. Like, so handsome in person. Definitely shorter than he said, though. He said he was like 5'8", I think, on Bumble, and then it was like, I'm only 5'2", and in my like few inch heels, I think I was taller than him. I think he's probably like 5'5". Guys always lie about shit like that. But anyways, he was so handsome in person.
I mean, right away, it's pretty hypocritical for you to be mad that someone lied about their height when you are lying about how you look as well. You're both as bad as each other here, love.
His dog was adorable. We went to this bar. We got brunch. We had the best time. And we were just, like, honestly, like, the conversation was good. He's a liberal guy. We, like, really hit it off. And the chemistry was definitely there. I kind of, like, felt it. And so I brought him back to my house. And we ended up hooking up. And this guy, Lex, let me tell you, he let me lead every step of the way. And I have had so many guys in my life that have said that. Like, oh, I won't do this unless you want to, unless you feel comfortable. But this guy actually, like, did that. Like, he held space to, like, wait. And for me to decide what we were going to do next. And it was so fucking hot. So, of course, we had sex. And it was so fucking good, Lex. So fucking good. I was on cloud 9 after this date. I was like, that was fucking amazing.
So this is another quirk of Molly here. She talks about sex a lot on these dates, and she has a habit of hooking up on the first date, on the first night that they meet. And a lot of people have been rather critical of her. A lot of people say, oh, this is why they ghost you, you have no respect for yourself. And to all those people, just shut the fuck up. But once again, this is not a blind hate video, and I'm gonna call people out for saying dumb shit, and that is dumb shit. If it feels right to hook up on the first night, then that's fucking absolutely fine. And if a man ghosts you because they think you lack self-respect after hooking up with you on the first night, that man probably isn't worth getting into a relationship with anyway. I mean, can we be fucking adults here? Seriously. It's only sex. Most of the people who think that way, in my opinion, are probably just resentful incels who haven't touched a tit in their lives.
I'm so sick of dealing with asshole men who are mediocre. Like, this guy was actually a good guy, really good conversation and amazing chemistry, amazing kisser, good in bed. Like, I was like, yes, sign me up. And then guess what? Homeboy got freaked out because of that few second clip of his dog in my TikTok. And by the way, he knew all about my TikTok. He talked about it at length before we even met. And then I asked him about it in person. I said, like, how do you feel about my TikTok? The fact that I post about my dating. I, like, interrogated this guy about my TikTok, basically, to make sure he was comfortable with it. And then what? I have a few seconds of his dog, and he was like, it made me really uncomfortable. It made me feel weird. My friends are recognizing it, and they're showing it to me. And I'm like, what in the fuck? So I was very apologetic. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I thought you said you were okay with this. Like, I never would have done that if I thought you would have been against it. Like, I really didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable. I won't post about you again. Done. Then he basically gave me the cold shoulder and fucking ghosted me. That's the story, Lex. That's the story of this fucking mediocre man. Okay? That was it. He just left me on red.
Yeah, she seems very bitter that she got ghosted about something as, in her mind, meaningless as that, when, in my opinion, he has every right to feel uncomfortable that you showed his dog without his consent. In the same way that you felt uncomfortable about people showing your dating profile without consent, you felt a bit weird about that because you're being put on blast publicly, he feels uncomfortable that, you know, parts of his life are being put out publicly on your TikTok account, which is seen by hundreds of thousands, a lot of the time millions of people. I understand why that'd make him feel weird, and you can't just force him to be okay with that. If he's not okay with that, he's not okay with that. And that's fine. I'm really not a fan of how you can't accept people not being okay with the lack of privacy that you give them. I mean, recording on dates like you do is a little bit weird. I'd definitely be put off by it if I was on a date with somebody like that. And yeah, you can't blame them for being uncomfortable with it and then go on to claim how you're uncomfortable about things and expect people to understand. It just comes across as, once again, very hypocritical. I will say, though, it is possible that there was some other reason he was ghosting you and that was just a convenient excuse for him. And if you're getting those vibes, that's something else, but you didn't mention it in this video, so I'm assuming you think it is for what he said. Either way, though, just accept that he doesn't want to date you anymore. It's fine. Rejection is fine.
I think I have a date tomorrow, my first date in Buffalo. Homeboy is gonna help me do my taxes. We're gonna get some beer. Okay, sounds fun. And he ghosted.
I mean, in 12 seconds, you've pretty much seen Molly's entire career. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this date. He's gonna be so great. Oh no, I've been ghosted. This whole video could just be that clip played 1,000 times, and it would essentially convey the same information. But anyway, this video here in particular has become rather infamous, so a lot of you probably already know about it. It's the date that she had with an accountant, who once again was a younger guy, and she was asking him to do her taxes on the first date. Now look, not only is that just a weird thing to do in general, but also, he's an accountant. He probably gets that every fucking date he's on. So all you do when you ask him to do your taxes is tell him that you are unoriginal and nowhere near as funny as you probably think you are. It's like being a singer. If you go on a date with a singer and you ask them to sing, you've basically ruined all possibilities of a second date, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a singer, so I wouldn't know for sure, but that's what I think would happen. Like, I'm a YouTuber now, right? That feels so good to fucking say, but thank you all for allowing me to say that, by the way. And if I went on a date with someone and told them I was a YouTuber, and they went, oh, YouTube for me right now, whatever that means, whatever that would entail, I would be like, ugh, I'm not a dancing fucking monkey.
So we texted at 3 when I woke up from my nap, and then I texted him again at 4:45 saying I was getting in the shower to get ready, and he hasn't answered me. And it's now like 5:30, so obviously we're not going on this date. This would have been my first date, being back in the States, and my first date in a while, actually. I don't think I've been on a date since, like, November. Genuinely excited about this date. He looked cute. We had good conversation. I hate dating in this generation. You know, maybe it was my mistake because he was very young. I'm 32 years old and he was 23.
Can I just say, the way she doesn't realize the blistering hilarity of what she's just said is incredible. I hate dating in this generation. My friend, I'm sorry to tell you this, but he is not this generation. He's 10 years younger than you. You and him are a part of different generations.
Plot twist. Homeboy just fell asleep. So now, while I was waiting for him, I made other plans to meet up with Morgan and bring my dogs to a dog-friendly bar. He's still gonna meet me there.
Honestly, just what a terrible evening. I can't believe people. It would take me more mental energy to ghost someone to that elaborate of an extent minutes before we're supposed to see each other. That would take more out of me than just saying, hey, sorry, I'm not feeling it anymore tonight. I'm just gonna stay in. How hard is it to send that kind of text? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Okay, first things first. Okay, actually, first of all, those dogs are adorable. Like, you have to admit. I'm giving her shit this video. Those dogs are fucking so cute. And now I want a dog. I might have a cat soon. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I might have a cat soon. But yeah, actual first thing, I guess the second thing, whatever. Yeah, that's shitty of that bloke. I can't believe he would do that. To ghost someone like that, to stand someone like that up is grim, no matter what the situation is. If you don't feel like going, then just say, hey, I don't want to go. You don't need to fucking ignore them. Like, that is just such a scumbag move. Anyway, let's hear her reasoning for why she thinks that she was ghosted by this bloke.
You know what I just thought of as maybe a reason for why he bailed? So on the walk there, him and I are texting, and he's like, when do you think you'll get there? And I was like, my ETA says 12 minutes later. And then he goes, okay, love. And I go, love? I was like, a bit too soon for that. And he's like, it's just a nickname. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm aware of that, but I prefer those kind of nicknames to be after I know someone better. Dude, we never even met in person yet, and you're already calling me love? You don't even know my last name yet, but you can call me love? I'm the only one that thinks that that's really weird. And so then I said that, and I was like, sorry, I know people have different opinions about that kind of stuff. And then he goes, my apologies. Well, that was a stupid conversation.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. This isn't bad content. This is nowhere near as heinous as, like, some of the other stuff. With the whole love thing, it's like, I've never heard an American use love in a way that felt natural. I call people love every now and then just because it's sort of force of habit. It's been pushed into me since, you know, moving to London. It's just sort of a word that was used a lot and has since become a part of my vocabulary. I don't know how people watching my videos feel about it, or if they even notice it, or if I even do it that much in the videos, but it is a part of my vocabulary. And call me biased, but I just think it sounds so much more natural when a British bloke says it as opposed to an American. Once again, you can let me know if you think I'm being a dick there, but that's just how I feel.
Also, as we were getting ready, texting me, he's like, I don't know what to wear. And I was like, yeah, me neither. Honestly, I think I'm gonna dress pretty casual. He's like, well, the difference is between me and you that you would look good in that you would look stunning in anything. And mind you, that is like the 4th time probably that he's been self-deprecating about his own appearance. He mentioned to me that even the previous night that he was nervous to meet me because he was afraid that I wouldn't like how he looked in person. Dude, if you're gonna hang with me, this self-deprecation's gotta go. I find that very unattractive. If you're very regularly in just one day of texting me talking about how you don't find yourself attractive, how is someone else supposed to like you if you don't even like yourself?
And then the self-deprecation thing is totally valid as well. Perfectly natural to want a man who's confident in himself. Like, unconfidence, thinking you're ugly is not an attractive feature. Now you're probably thinking, Dankyjabo, what the fuck has this video become? You're just watching date talk videos? Well, let me tell you, don't you worry a little fucking noggin there, because we're about to watch a dating video about Molly Rutter from the perspective of one of the blokes who she has been on a date with. This will be interesting. And great, it's been taken down. So I've got links to all the TikToks that I'm going to talk about on like a document before I start these videos, the recording of it, so it's not just a jumbled mess. But for whatever reason, the account got taken down that was talking about going on a date with Molly Rutter. There was a second guy, and interestingly, his account was taken down as well. I don't know if Molly has anything to do with the accounts being taken down, but it is curious that it's happened twice, at least as I know of. Like, there could be more. Luckily for the second bloke, I've managed to find, like, shit re-uploads of it, where there's, like, cars being detailed in the slide next to it. So we'll have a look at what was supposed to be the second bloke that we look at, but whatever. Is what it is, I guess.
So I'm one of the guys that Molly Rutters went on a date with. Yes, really, and she's made 3 different videos about me. It's these 3. Go watch them later if you need to. So a lot of people have been asking, are these dating stories that she makes even real? Do these really happen? And where are these guys to come and tell their side of the story? So like from the very get-go, like I felt like I was being interrogated through text. Which I guess is normal, like you match someone, you start texting them, you gotta get to know them and stuff, like figure out what they're actually looking for. Especially if you're leading up to like a very first date and you've never met before, you really just need to chill and get to know each other first. And her level of like intensity and interrogation was like a little much for me. Secondly, I am not the one who canceled that date on Sunday. She said that I said I had a hell of a week at work. No, I didn't. She canceled on me because she had some emergency. And so the dry texting thing she said in her video, that's not really true. She's just really legitimately a self-proclaimed yapper. Like one of those people who will talk their head off at you and then like just not let you get a word in and then be like, oh, you're really quiet. She's one of those people.
Okay, so we're getting 2 conflicting stories here, and I'm more inclined to believe this bloke. And that's because she has a career out of dating people. Of course she's going to embellish some of the stories and make shit up. There's no way she has that many stories that are all completely true and not at least a little bit fabricated or over-exaggerated or embellished at the very least. It's just an inevitability when you make the type of content that she makes. It's like those really weird fucking story time YouTubers from a couple years back where they'd like play CSGO and tell a story about how their teacher sucked them off in a garage door. Is this a horrible thing to do? Maybe. I mean, she is lying, but no one knows who the bloke is. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really harm anybody, to be fair, so you can make of that what you will.
And yes, we did actually finally end up meeting and we brought our dogs. I brought mine and she brought her 2 little dogs. So the thing is that she was like absurdly late. So I should have mentioned I wasn't aware of any of this until after it was over. So I had no idea she was like making TikToks about any of this or who she really was. And she's done this before where she just like shows up really late for dates and has even filmed herself doing it where she just lollygags and just like takes her sweet time getting there, like complete lack of respect. Like, if you're late to a date, you're late to a date, but, like, don't film yourself just casually, like, taking your time and stopping at convenience stores and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfectly fair complaint to have, and it is very, very weird that she never, ever takes responsibility for being ghosted before the second date starts. Like, maybe it's all this fucking awful date etiquette that you are displaying before, after, and during the date. Would you not be off-put if you went home and realized that they'd made 3 fucking TikToks about you when you didn't even know they had a TikTok account? And the final thing I want to mention here is the video next to this bloke that's playing on this TikTok is fucking incredible. Like, I love baklava, it's one of my favorite foods, and that baklava, oh my god, that's made me so fucking hungry right now. I'm recording at 4 a.m, by the way, guys. It's actually 5 a.m. now. And you know what? Not being able to see the other guy's TikToks because the channel was deleted is probably my fault. That's karma for me not recording this video earlier. Note for my future self, fix your fucking sleep schedule before people delete their videos.
So her main complaint was that I wasn't being as flirty in real life as I was through text. And well, there's two reasons for this. I didn't realize that she was who she was, but it was pretty obvious, yeah, she was filming throughout the date, which is a huge no-no for me. Like, I'm not a huge TikToker, but I'm not gonna whip my phone out and, like, record a date, especially not a first one. Like, some stuff just needs to be private. Like, you don't need to film every second of your life, especially your personal life. And I knew she was doing this, like, I noticed it. Like, it wasn't, like, a secret. I think she was trying to cover it up, but, like, I knew what she was doing.
Yeah, that would make me super uncomfortable, and he's right. On a first date especially, that is really weird. At least get to know them first. Be like, hey man, just so you know, this is my job, this is my livelihood. If you see me recording, this is why I'm doing it. Are you okay with that? Oh, you're not okay with that? Cool, I won't do it for this date. Maybe later on into the relationship, if you're cool with dating me, we can do it then. Or hell yeah, you're cool with that. We're gonna be a great match. Let's fucking do this shit, baby. But keeping it secret and recording during a date, which by the way, it's so difficult to keep secret, they're gonna notice. They're gonna notice. Especially because on a first date, your attention should be on the person you are dating, not taking videos for your TikTok. And this is where I question how real she is about wanting to actually find a long-term relationship, because if she was serious about it, she would actually focus on the date itself and not just making content for her TikTok page. And that's the issue with her quitting her full-time job to be a TikToker. It interferes with her dating life because now she's more concerned about getting content. It's just a lose-lose for everyone involved. She's wasting their time and she's wasting her time.
And, like, I'm not trying to be mean and stuff, but, like, she doesn't quite look like her pics in person. Is she a cute girl? Yeah, but, like, a lot of her pics are, like, exceptionally old. I don't use pics of me, like, when I would look like this. You know, pics from 10 years ago, and she just doesn't look the same in person. Like, that's just post how you are. Just post pics of how you are at that moment. It'll weed out people who wouldn't ultimately be interested in you.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. We've spoken about this at length already, but that is the main concern. He's just worded it a lot more eloquently than I did. If you post pictures of your real self as you are right now, it will weed out the people who aren't interested in you and won't be interested in you from the get-go. So you won't waste anyone's time, including yours or theirs. It's like if you have a stipulation where you will not date a certain religion of people, which is a fine stipulation to have, by the way, you should make that clear on your dating profile before you go on the date with said person, because if you arrange the date, you meet up with them, and they end up being, you know, a religion that differs from your one, or differs from your expectations or stipulations, then you've wasted everyone's time, because it's never going to work out. And with online dating, it's so easy to save time like that. That's like the whole appeal of online dating, in my opinion, the convenience.
And I am talking to quite a few guys on the apps, but none of them answered me today. I tried to make plans with, like, probably 3 or 4 of them at this point. And I asked them, like, when are you free this week? And I'm still waiting to hear back from all of them.
I guess there is a big issue here insofar as when most people match with someone on a dating app or a dating website, their immediate and natural thought is excitement. They are excited that they have the chance to get to know somebody who seemingly fits their physical standards, which is inherently quite an exciting thing. So then the next natural step is to feel them out a little bit. You want to assess whether or not it will be a good idea to go on a first date with this person. And there is a bit of a feeling out process there for sure. It's like the first round of a boxing match. You keep your guard out, maybe you flick a jab every now and then, you throw a couple feints, see how they react, with the ultimate goal of coming up with a game plan and seeing what you can do later on. However, if I was talking to Molly on a dating app, I think I'd go from jabbing and slipping to weaving away from her haymaker of a right hook after a left hook after a huge right hook and a straight and a power jab. That's what I think it would feel like messaging Molly, because when she matches with someone on a dating profile, she doesn't get excited for the same reason that you're excited. Whilst you're excited at the opportunity to get to know someone who you find attractive, she's excited that she gets to have more content for her career. And there's no doubt in my mind that that will affect how she interacts with people on those dating apps, and people will be able to tell that something's off, and it might make them a bit uncomfortable and they might ghost her for it. Not to mention that when everyone is ghosting you, in these stories, you are the one constantly being ghosted. You're never the one doing the ghosting. In other words, the common denominator in all of your stories is you. It's like when a bloke talks about how many crazy ex-girlfriends they have. It's like, I'm sorry mate, but if you have 10 ex-girlfriends and all of them are the problem, I'm more inclined to believe that maybe you're the problem here.
I have never felt less about dating, and especially about dating straight men. Really, like, if you think right now I'm gonna come on here and just, like, give you a dating recap of my latest date with a guy, what my platform once was is no more. It will never be the same. Something that I keep repeating in my head right now is that there's no room in my life anymore for straight men meeting the bare minimum. If a straight man wants to enter my life, if a straight man wants to be in the sphere of my existence, there has to be overcompensation. The straight men welcome in my sphere in my life right now are the ones who are overcompensating. The ones who have empathy oozing out of their pores like sweat on a humid day.
I'm sorry, were you ghosted or have you just divorced from a 30-year relationship? Why is the music so fucking sad? I would think that that music's a bit too dramatic if my whole family was murdered in front of me. Let alone me just being ghosted by a man. But anyway, this video signifies her shift from dating content to what she is now, which is, I guess, some sort of faux political influencer. Which if you go on her TikTok, that is currently the content she is producing, right? She does political stuff now. Now, this is not a politics channel, and I don't want to go too much into politics, because it's a very contentious subject, and I don't like talking about topics that make people depressed. I want this channel to be a place where people can draw, or do their laundry, or just watch because they had a bit of a shit day and they want to, you know, have a bit of escapism. Why not? Bottom line is I want the channel to be a comfortable place for people, so politics just doesn't really fit that discussion, especially American politics nowadays. Fuck me. It really is a state over there, isn't it? That being said, if you don't want to date straight men anymore, that's fine. I mean, you can do exactly what you want, but it is once again a total lack of accountability for what you're doing wrong in your dating life. To blame straight men as a concept as a whole for your inability to get a second date is extremely negligent in my opinion. Maybe not negligent, I guess entitled would be a better word. Like, oh, I'm not the problem. I can't possibly be the problem that I've never been on a date that produces a second date. It can't be me. It has to be because they're straight men. I'm sorry to say this, but if everybody you interact with is the problem, then you're probably the problem here. I know I've just said this, but it's so fucking important. We need to reiterate it like. But yeah, now Molly does political content, and I don't want to go too much into it for the reasons I just stated, but we'll dip our toes into it.
It's a really interesting question. I would say that at first when I heard about the 4B movement, I was like, hell yeah, get me on that bandwagon, 4B all the way, okay? But I would say that as I thought about it more, I'm more iffy on it. I completely 100% support it as a movement, as a form of protest. Any person in this country right now that wants to participate in the 4B movement, I will clap for you, I will support you, absolutely love, right? I would say that there are some concerns I have about it. Like, I'm concerned that women who are choosing not to partake in the 4B movement, who have chosen, let's say, to marry men or to continue to have, you know, intimate involvements with men, I'm afraid of the judgment that will be cast towards them. I think there already is a lot of shame about women engaging in those types of activities out of marriage. And so my fear is that there will be like more of a stigmatization towards women who choose to do those things. That's my only concern about it. And also, quite frankly, if I decide I want to have an evening with someone to enjoy myself, that's also my right.
As much as I agree with her, you did literally just make a video about how you don't want to date straight men anymore. I'm getting a lot of mixed signals here, love. There you go, I've just said love. That'll piss her off, won't it? Fuck, I'm gonna be all hyper aware of that. Fuck, I'm gonna be all hyper aware of that shit now.
Yes, it is true. At Halloween time, I made content that wrongfully and disrespectfully portrayed me as being a victim of domestic violence. And it was in poor taste. It was someone that I have created videos where I have taken accountability and apologized for. A lot of people don't accept my apology or my accountability that I've taken, and that's okay, that's their right. The people that I hurt and disrespected by making that video, I accept and take responsibility for that, and those people don't have to forgive me or accept my apology. The fact of the matter is, I did take accountability for what I did, and I still do, and I apologized for it, and I will apologize again for it right now. And I will say that I'm not a perfect person. I will say that I made a mistake, and I will say that I am devoted now to doing everything I possibly can to work on myself, to educate myself, and to, like I said, use this platform for good. because I think that that's my duty at this point. I think I'm physically incapable of not doing that with my platform at this point.
Was this video filmed on a fucking murder scene, or did she think that siren noises would be good background noise? Did she, like, put them in post? If it's the former, could you not have waited a couple minutes, because it's not a good look considering what you're talking about? It is fucking hilarious, though. And if it's the latter, then fuck me, you are not very good at making choices, are you now, love? It's especially ironic considering there was no accountability. You just swept it under the rug and released 2 apology videos. You forgot to fucking cut the first take out of the second one. Doesn't really seem like you care all that much, does it? I don't know, there's just something performative about this. Like how quickly she switched from date talker to political TikToker, and now she does like lifestyle stuff and get readies with me still. I don't know exactly what her goal is. I think her goal, to be fair, and this makes sense, is just to make money because she doesn't have a job as a teacher anymore. She was a teacher before, I don't know if I mentioned that, but she was a teacher beforehand. And I guess in her mind, making political content will be the easiest and quickest way to make money again using TikTok's creator platform. And maybe I don't have the right to call it performative or say that it feels performative, because for all I know, she could be completely genuine in her feelings here and is actually trying to do good in the world. Who knows? I certainly hope she is, and I definitely don't wish any fucking disdain or misfortune on this woman because she's only been doing this for quite a short amount of time full time. So to leave this video on a positive note, I genuinely wish her all the best and hope that she grows into this career as well as she can. So Molly, if for whatever reason you're watching this far into the video, good luck to you, pal. And I genuinely mean that. But yeah, I think that's about it. So on that note, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, my patrons are scrolling next to me. My beautiful patrons. Thank you all so much. I know I tell you a lot about how much I appreciate you. Never think I'm just saying it to say it. I know I say that a lot as well. Fuck me. I might seem performative if I keep fucking talking like this. So you know what? Go fuck yourselves, all of you. Fuck off! Definitely joking. Don't take that seriously, please. I'm begging you. On a real, I hope you enjoyed the video, as always. Thank you all so much for the support recently. We're at like 113k now. Let's see how far we can get by the end of the year. We've already blown the 100k goal out of the fucking water, so let's just see how far we can go. For now, though, I think I'll see you all in the next video. So, cheers for watching, as always, and bye.